a watch list. They were putting gang injunctions on the building, and then somebody mysteriously jump up and off them in broad daylight, and then they can't find them for days. You know, so we got to be in the hell. And us at the Hidden History Museum, they didn't send so many feds down there. They didn't send feds and undercovers with cameras instigating shit. You got suspected ops filing frivolous lawsuits against the museum. We have to deal with that type of shit. Other groups don't have to deal with that. You don't have the government sending in operatives trying to undermine their institutions when they do try to get some stability. So this is why we need resources so that we can start getting in the pockets of some of the right politicians and people in law enforcement too. And also, when you get reparations, man, you start being a homeowner. Homeowner brings neighborhood stability. Crime rates, family, a lot of folks don't realize crime rates are much lower in areas where there's high home ownership. You understand? When you own your property, crime is actually lower. When people are living in the projects, you're living in these areas where you're renting, basically, you don't own it, and there's a landlord who owns it and they live a gazillion miles away. Some of them don't even live in the state. There's not going to be the same type of economic stability. The homeowners, they usually stay in one place and they're financially invested in their neighborhood. Renters, they live in high turnover areas. You understand? So you're less likely to build roots there. You're going to have a weaker community tie than somebody who lives in a home. Because people always getting thrown out and evicted. They're always moving. They'll lose their Section 8. So people are just kind of coming and going in places where people rent. You understand? And then there's neglected properties there. The landlords who don't live in those communities, they neglect the property. They don't clean up the buildings. The building is all decayed, and then the people in the community, they get blamed for the decay of the building. No, the landlord ain't fixing the shit. It's the people, they're not gonna fix it. It's not their building. They just renting. So yeah, it might be raggedy outside with no paint, and all that shit gets blamed on the black people. No, it's that white landlord who live in the suburbs who ain't painting it. And they don't have the money to go out there and do all that to the building. You know what I'm saying? Just little stuff like that we have to understand. And even in rent heavy areas, you got more people who are facing financial instability and they move frequently. So there's an impermanence there. And places where people are just bouncing and they're not really rooted there. They don't have too many community ties like that. Yeah, crime is going to be a little higher. So we got to understand the whole game here. Let me get Professor Alon in the building. Professor Alon, hop on in. Professor?
Oh, hey, what's going on, Tariq? What's going on, family? I'm gonna be real quick. You mentioned Darth R. Perry. I was watching him with my students the other day, and Darth R. said something real interesting. He said when he was took the operation to burn down black buildings and black businesses, he was explicitly told to burn them down in a way that made it look like somebody from the hood did it.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. Because somebody asked him the interviewer asked him a question like, "You use since you're working with government agency, you use sophisticated equipment, right?" He said, "No, no, 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 no. That would be too obvious." He said they trained me to use a balloon or something to make it look like somebody from the hood got angry and burned it down. Last thing I wanted to say is, with respect to crime, the gentleman. I'm so sick of people talking about crime; they don't know what they're talking about. When I was in law school, I went part time law school. There was a real brilliant Ivy League attorney there that would always say, "It's good to know the law, but it's better to know the judge." What he was saying is, judges decide on what crime is. District attorneys and judges decide on what crime is, so they pick and choose. And it was a really famous judge. I'm not going to say his name, but a famous judge in Birmingham, Alabama. they used to get black kids in and white kids, and the white kids would have DUIs, and the black kids maybe have a little weed in their pocket, and he would throw the black kids in jail, and he would say that the white kids had a substance abuse problem.
Mm.
Yes, sir.
Man, that's a good thing, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, yeah, they use different terms for people. I was in the county one time, and a brother was telling me about his charge. He was Professor Allen just reminded me of something. I remember being in the county years ago, and the brother was talking about they were in court. He was in court with a white defendant, and they went before the judge, and they basically had the same charge, but it was worded different. So the white boy, they were both drunk. So the white boy, his offense was disposition of liquor, DOL. And the black man, he said his charge was um, drinking in public. That was his charge. So he got a heavier fine and a heavier sentence. And he was like, listen, I got a DIP and the white boy got a DOL. So he's a doll and I'm a dip. What the hell? It's the same shit. He's like, he's a doll and I'm a dip. And I always remembered that. I learned from